In June of 1955, the United States Army enlisted a hero, although at that time I'm sure they did not know the great things this man would do and who he would become. Roy P. Benavidez did nothing short of living up to selfless service, duty, and personal courage. In 1965, he was declared paralyzed from the waist down after stepping on a landmine in Vietnam. He was sent to Fort Sam, Texas to be discharged from the military. To him this was unacceptable, so every night after the nurses and doctors left, he would throw himself out of the bed, fighting through the pain and the tears, using his chin and elbows to crawl to the wall just to stand up to do leg exercises that they would not do with him. His determination to walk was simply amazing, and started just by moving his feet left to right and then doing his different leg exercises. After 9 months of this, and the doctor ripping up his discharge papers, he was able to walk out of Beach Pavilion in Fort Sam, Texas. Determined to go back to Vietnam, Benavidez would hear what his master sergeant used to tell him: "Benavidez, quitters never win, and winners never quit." And his old leader from Special Forces would say, "Faith, determination, and a positive attitude will carry you farther than your ability. You can do it, Benavidez. You can do it." During his time at Fort Bragg, his physical therapy consisted of running 5 to 10 miles every day and doing 50 to 100 push-ups. Benavidez was physically and mentally ready to return to Vietnam. Although his orders were for Central America, he had them changed in 1968 to where he returned to Vietnam. On May 2nd of 1968, Benavidez encountered the unimaginable. According to his award citation, a 12-man Special Forces team was sent to Loch Nic, Vietnam to gather intel, where they fell under enemy fire and requested immediate evacuation. After 3 failed attempts, Benavidez volunteered to assist in the last extraction attempt. With soldiers unable to make it to the pickup site, the helicopter hovered over a clearing nearby, where Benavidez was let down, ran 75 meters under fire to a crippled Special Forces team. Before reaching his destination, Benavidez was wounded in the right leg, head, and face. Upon reaching his destination, he redirected fire, assisting in the evacuation of the dead and the wounded, where the helicopter was able to land. Despite enemy fire and having to repress enemy fire, he still ran to recover a dead team leader and classified information. No man left behind is something that still is in the military today, and that we would never do. But during that time, the helicopter had crashed, the pilot taking a fatal shot. Although critically wounded, he recovered the classified documents, and this is just touching on the heroic actions shown by Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez. He was able to create a defense perimeter with some of the wounded, and this enabled him to give them water and ammo, and encouraged everyone to have the will to live and to fight. Even with much blood lost and unfathomable amounts of wounds, and one last check for classified documentation, was he extracted from the firefight with the other dead and wounded soldiers. Due to his unmanning bravery, will to live, and save fellow soldiers under enemy fire, Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. The amount of work that was put into getting Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez an award upgrade to the Congressional Medal of Honor it shouldn't have happened. It should have been what he had got originally, but it wasn't. They never thought Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez was going to make it to receive his Medal of Honor. When he came back from what he described as 6 hours of hell, they had him laying in a body bag. The doc said there was nothing they could do for him. With a locked jaw, intestines hanging out of his stomach, and many, many wounds, he made what he called the luckiest shot of his life and spit in the doctor's face to indicate that he was alive. So they had originally given him the Distinguished Service Cross for service. However, in 1973, when more details came about of those 6 hours in hell, Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Drake pushed for Benavidez to receive the Medal of Honor. The problem at that time was the time limit to upgrade the award had expired. The Army Decorations Board denied the upgrade, and they needed an eyewitness. At that time, the understanding was that there was no more living witnesses. But Brian O'Connor, former radio man, was indeed still alive. He was sent back to the States first before being debriefed about that night. O'Connor, while on vacation in Australia, read about Benavidez's situation in a newspaper. He immediately contacted Roy and submitted a 10-page paper about what had occurred that night, confirming what other accounts were provided. On February 24, 1981, President Ronald Reagan presented Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez the Medal of Honor and stated, "If the story of his heroism were a movie script, you would not believe it." He then read the citation award. After making it through his own rehabilitation, learning how to walk again, returning to war, living through 6 hours of hell and more, and the battle to get proper military recognition, Roy Benavidez proved to be an amazing soldier. Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez did nothing short of living up to selfless service duty and personal courage. This man is an American hero. He's an inspiration to soldiers and an example of what loyalty to your country means. He also demonstrates humbly and the satisfaction, the award you can receive if you just never give up.